Long wire.
Hey, how are you? I was throwing Penny about plumbing last month. I bought it for $2. It almost fell off the couch. I'm alive. Well, do you remember the name? Hi, Jack. How are you? Do you remember the name of the people who got the things over the windshield? You know what I'm talking about on the doors? The screens?
Vent visors?
Is that what it's called?
On vehicles?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're either
You have them on yours, and
Yeah.
you told me the name.
Yeah.
I got it from my Suburban.
auto shade or a vent visor.
And they go along the top of the
Yep, they go
door.
over the edge of the window so they don't trip water in.
Right. Vent visor.
Yeah.
Because I want to get some for my new truck.
What'd you get?
I got a GMC Canyon.
Which is a pickup.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally impractical. 4-wheel drive, short bed, 4-door. Totally impractical.
Yeah.
Then?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tabernacle Township Committee meeting for November 26, 2018. We're going to have a flag salute. After the flag salute, please remain standing. So we have a moment of silence for the tragedies in the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on October 27th, and in Thousand Oaks, California, tragedy on November 7th. So please stand for the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please sit down.
As required notices from the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. With roll call, Ms. Brown. Here. Mr. Franson.
Here.
Mr. Lee. Here. Mr. Gates. Here. Mayor Barber. Here.
Public comments on agenda items. This is not a public comment period. I remind everybody that we always took public comments on the ordinance, the ordinance 2018-7, and that public portion is closed. There's no more public comments on that ordinance. If you'd like to address any public comments on anything else, please come forward, state your name, address.
A quick question, first of all, if I want to discuss the reports of somebody who would normally. Okay. I wasn't sure if I was going to be wasting your time to get up there and go, told to go sit down.
We've got to get you on the record.
Okay. Jim Jones, 16 Wonderful Way, Tabernacle. Question is, I want to discuss the report of the safety director. Is that appropriate now, or would that be appropriate later?
I'm sorry, what was the report?
I want to talk about the public safety director's quarterly report.
Yes.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's on the agenda.
Okay. A couple of things I was concerned about. First of all, he was talking about Task Force 42 concept. Task Force 43, I think, has been in existence as long as I was in school. And had to do it primarily with mutual aid, so I'm not sure what's changing there. I'm curious about that. I'd be curious as to why there's a 53% increase in the fire company. Is that all in Tabernacle, or is that all mutual aid? And with regards to equipment, he has a factual error in here, and it says Tabernacle does not have a tender. I'm pretty sure it does, because I think the vote passed it this year. So the numbers were wrong. Also, with regard to that, when I look at it, typically there's three, each company with a population, township population between 6 and 8,000 have 3 pieces of equipment with a couple of minor exceptions. We have 4. I don't think that's unreasonable to have, considering the size of our township, because most of these townships don't have 50 square miles of coverage, and most of them don't have the woodlands sitting right out here just ready to go. I referenced Paradise, California right now as one of them, since I had somebody living there who doesn't anymore. And I guess the biggest thing is I think the report is flawed. For those reasons, too. I think I would be careful with this stuff, especially the task force. I don't understand what people are doing with that. Since I think it already exists, so what's concept testing? I believe what that is, other than it's already there. Even if the existing one isn't codified, and it may not be, I'm sure, maybe an informal minimum of surrounding townships regarding mutual aid. Hey, I need more tenders. And maybe it's just called mutual aid.
Thank you. Anyone else? Jason?
Jason Leather, South Bush Court. Just further with respect to this report, you might want to consider sending it back from the solicitor to make some adjustments. There's some pretty big deficiencies in here. First of all, the very first line talks about Tabernacle Fire Department. Pretty sure we don't have another Tabernacle Fire Company #1, but I think they made up the fire department. At least not with capital letters there as a formal definition. He then defined it as TFS, but then uses TFD, and that's just something that should be pretty obvious to anybody reading this. But more substantively, he talks about, for example, consideration of selling unneeded equipment, but he doesn't define what defines unneeded, who would make that call. Is it the people who are supposed to man these trucks, or whatever the other equipment is, if it has been used in 6 months, a year, 5 years, what is the definition? I would consuming this, which I am as a member of the public, I would want to know those things. And then finally, with respect to the chart, I think it's missing quite a bit of information that would help with some of these numbers in perspective. For example, what's the acreage or square mileage of a number of these towns? How densely populated are they? Tabernacle, we know, is pretty large, but only relatively speaking, we all live in a very small portion of it. Do these different townships have hydrants? Some of them do, some of them don't. So that would further lead into whether it makes sense to model, some of these townships that have more equipment versus less equipment, and so on. So, just you might want to rethink before you accept this report. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public?
Steve Kramer, 1000 Old Indian Mills Road. We seem to do this every month, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about what you have on the agenda tonight with the squad. Obviously, I imagine you're going to go to executive session eventually and have these discussions, not in public, which is fine, your purview. But I want to share something that I've shared with a few of you already. It's like I sat in a room and I got told to quit. Public safety director looked at me when I asked a question about a sheet of paper that was slid across the table today and just asked for clarification on something. And the end result of that back and forth was that if I didn't like it, I could quit. I don't think that's the intent of this committee. I don't think it was even the intent necessarily of the Public Safety Director after I tried to clarify that. But we're at this, seems to be a stalemate where we just hash numbers back and forth every month and we talk about whether we need this or that, or whether we can sell an ambulance out from under the group or a rescue out from under the group, or whether we can get them to give us a certain amount of this money on this side of the aisle or this money on that side of the aisle. I'm going to say the same thing to this committee that I said to the Public Safety Director. I'm not quitting. If that's the intention of this committee, is to run us out of town or to get me to get so frustrated that I quit, it's not going to happen. I spent my Thanksgiving, I said this to a committee this afternoon, I spent my Thanksgiving not with my family sitting at a table like many of you did. I got up 4 times from that table and went and handled ambulance calls. I watched a husband lose his wife. I watched a family lose another family member, and that was only 2 of the times I got up. I didn't think to myself, what is this billing here? Did I run out of town? Do I need to come up with 30% of that revenue to give back? Who has the title to the vehicle that I'm running? Am I in the township truck or am I in the squad-owned truck? I thought about the people that I was helping. And we keep losing track of those people. We keep talking about these numbers and this, and if they would just give this, or if we could get a little bit more out of them, I'd feel better about it. We're losing track of the people who got up to do it, fire company and squad alike. I was in a room with fire company members and squad members. We weren't fighting, we were doing the job. This back and forth has got to stop. But I sat in a room today and had to pay an attorney while you paid $12,000 to a public safety director to get into a back and forth discussion about whether 50%, a quarter, of that pack of Oreos that I bought in the vending machine.
Stephen, I'm going to cut you off there. You're talking about a negotiation that took place that this committee's not aware of.
I understand
We were
that.
not present today.
I understand that,
We'll
but it's an
discuss that in
operable
executive
document that I'm
session.
speaking
Once
of.
it's in the public, you're welcome to make those comments, but you're revealing items that were negotiated today,
Okay.
which I don't think is appropriate.
All right.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Yes, sir.
Howard Grimes, 17 Halton Road. Well, as for the public safety director's report, he stated progress on Task Force 43 concept has been stalled due to the failure of TRS to meet regarding the issue, along with progress on a contract with TRS being held up due to lack of meeting with the attorney. Well, if you're going to make a statement like that, I assume that our public safety director has documentation showing that he's reached out through emails or various sources and where the squad did not reply. I mean, would he be able to produce them?
We'll ask him.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close the public portion. Okay, approval of paid bills.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Fraser? Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Gordon?
Yes. Okay, approval of minutes of October 27, 2018, which is our regular meeting, which was our last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Yates? Thank you.
I have a comment on
Yeah.
one item. I think there could be, and I could be wrong on this, a misspelling on the second paragraph of the first page. There's a Paglione, and I think the lady's name is not Lisa Paglione.
Gia Faglione.
Yeah. So I think that needs to be corrected.
Okay, thank you.
You got that
Make
corrected?
a correction on record,
Okay,
yes.
any other corrections? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes, with the correction.
Thank you. Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Abstain?
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Gordon?
Yes. Okay, old business discussion on the TRS contract. Public Safety Director report on the status of the contract negotiation with TRS. Arch, is that something you're comfortable doing, or you want to do that?
No, I request executive session.
Okay, we'll move to ordinance on second reading, which was tabled last month. Public hearing was previously held on 10/22/2018. The public portion of that is closed. Does anyone on the committee have any comments on that?
So I'm not sure that we're in a position to even discuss that until we hear the report from the public safety director.
I'm in agreement.
I think they're one and the same.
So motion to continue.
We haven't seen what the contract negotiation was. So for us to even make a motion or ruling on this would be short-lived.
Yeah, I don't think you have to do anything. I think if we're not going to go into executive session now, which I think would be an awful lot on the folks at Canaan Lake, because you'd have to move a lot of people back and forth. I don't think that's fair to them.
I mean, Joe,
I think what we ought to do is go down to resolution 2018-112 and then come back like we normally do with executive session. But I don't want to discuss 2018-7 unless we hear from the public safety director first, as Joe had mentioned.
I was going to say, Joe, I agree with Stephen, and if you want, after we get out of the executive session, if you want to reopen the meeting and bring this up.
Okay,
You guys want to talk about it?
okay, we can revisit at that time. For now, we'll just continue. Okay, resolution 2018-112, which is award of contract for municipal salt shed entranceway replacement project. Have a motion? Send a second?
Second.
Doug, you want to review?
It is for repairs to the shed roof that comes off the front of the salt tank. It has deteriorated from seepage through the flashing underneath, and we need to repair the main beam that holds across, holds the opening, holds the rest of the dome up. So that's really why we've been showing it.
Okay. And you have the contract ready to award, right?
Yes.
And
It was bid, and there we
Yeah, we received bids on November 8th, received 4 bids from qualified contractors. The low bid was Mybo Construction for $39,425. And Mybo, I believe, was involved, or has been involved in that shed before, construction-wise.
They were the original contractor.
So they do this type of work, so we're comfortable with awarding the job to them, and I think Mr. Lang has had an opportunity to review the low bid.
Okay, thank you. A roll call? Any other comments from the committee? Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes. Resolution 2018-113, authorize a refund pursuant to a 100% total disabled veteran exception.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes. Resolution 2018-114, authorize budget transfers. In your packet, you didn't have the transfer that was provided tonight. Right, we'll look.
Yeah, that's, basically, we need $13,350 to be increasing 3 lines, those being financial administration, engineering, gasoline, and diesel. And we're pulling these monies from 5 lines, so it's not like we're increasing any budget.
Any questions from the committee? Yeah, roll call.
Is it, I have a question. The diesel cost, is that just a general, just because of the usage increased or because the cost increased?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
I can say that this is also expecting to get through the end of the year.
Right.
Okay. Roll call?
Ms. Brown? Oh, I'm sorry, I need to get a
Reading
motion.
the motion.
Oh.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Yates. Now, Ms. Brown?
Are you asking me now to vote? I'll vote yes now.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes. Resolution 2018-115, approval of performance bond guarantee reduction for Seneca Woods Phase 3. Have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
Okay, you want to review this?
Sure, this is actually the third reduction for phase one. Municipal land use law allows for contractors or developers to have a decrease in their performance bond amount as work progresses, and that bottoms out at 30%. So the township is able to maintain 30% of the total cost of the original bond. The developer has completed in excess of 70% of the total bond amount for approximately $337,524 left in the original bond amount of $1.2 million. So we're recommending that we reduce it just under that 30%, which is $362,205. $362,205. This is something that, again, is required by municipal land use law. The developer is entitled to it. It does not mean that they're not on the hook for all the improvements. It does not mean that we're not going to get the maintenance bond once all the improvements are completed. This just lowers their carrying costs for the bond as they move forward with the project. And again, this is just for phase one, and it will be the final bond reduction for phase one since they're at that 30%.
Thank you, Mr. Huzzy. Any questions from the committee? Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
No.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to reports. Public Safety Director?
Really good evening. Just to go over the couple of questions that came up. The question regarding the makeup of the community and the density of the community was addressed in my last quarterly report. I addressed the substantially in there regarding rural versus suburban and ladder trucks, tenders. The tender truck is not listed in this report because of the Burlington County Chiefs Association report that I worked off of didn't have a tender, but in the supplement report to this report that was sent out this afternoon, which the clerk had sent out, had all the tenders listed for the county in there, so that's been addressed. So looking at that equipment. As to my overall report, to me, the most positive thing about it is the FEMA reimbursement. We're getting close to in the area of $100,000 reimbursement on March 7th report, March 7th snowstorm. I want to thank Bob Sunbury for his due diligence in putting together the FEMA recommendations and the reimbursements from Mr. Kramer. So it looks like we're going to get a good chunk of money reimbursed for that. So I'm real pleased with that. We have ran into Mr. Kramer at the league. We looked at the signage for the speeds. Doug got a couple of prices for about $3 grand a piece for some hanging speed signs. I talked to a gentleman about $6,000 for the trailer type. We're going to have some further discussions on that and see which direction the committee wants to go with the speed signs. But I thought that was a pretty fair numbers. There's a lot of different options. The battery pack versus the solar, so there's just some things that we'll put together. Continuation, and we had a discussion today, again regarding the purchase of the fire chief's vehicle. We're going to, once I get a chance to talk to the chief tonight, the consideration of what type of vehicle the fire chief wishes to get for the fire department, and we're looking at that. We're looking at funding mechanisms partially through current fund and some bonding, so if we can encumbered by the end of the year, we reduce some of our long-term debt by getting that. Any other questions from the committee?
Arch, one of the questions came up about the meeting schedules for Task Force 43.
Oh, yeah, I have at least, I pulled up one real quick email from October 1st, and basically it's, the attorney had requested a cancellation of October 2nd meeting. So back and forths go back to October 2nd. I know Mr. Lang was copying a lot of them about attempting to get meetings together. So meetings were attempted to get together over periods of time to discuss Task Force 43. 43, what we're talking about specifically is how they respond to in-township rescue assignments, specifically is how we look at it.
And so you're looking for TRS and Tabernacle Fire Company be part of that? Is that? who you're
Yes, I
putting
mean,
to the
we're
table?
trying to get them to work together, and if they can manage to come to some formal conclusion to it, so they can work together in responding to rescue assignments, that's what the ultimate goal is.
Okay. Because, we also use public works employees to man that rescue truck, which is a shame to take them away from their duties if there are fire company members who are trained and qualified to run a rescue. So I think you're going in the right direction. We have my support for that, to look in and see how we make that work better and more efficient, so that there's no delays at the scene. I understand that the Tabernacle Fire Company responds to rescues. They get on the scene and they're kind of they're handcuffed, they can't do anything until the rescue truck arrives. It doesn't make sense to me that if they're trained and qualified, why they couldn't proceed with that rescue if they're there, and they have all the tools, equipment, and training to proceed. But I'll leave that to you to work out.
Well, that's a goal we're working towards, we're working together.
Yeah. Which would provide a better service to the residents and the traveling public. Anyone else have questions?
No.
Rick?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Guzzi?
Just a couple updates. The drainage project is ongoing. Contractor right now working on Laurel, making drainage improvements. That'll be ongoing for the next several months as long as the weather holds out. The park project is underway. The contractor started with some of the demolition. The dugout structures are been released for fabrication or in the process of being fabricated. So we're shooting again to get that completed and all buttoned up well in advance of the season. And then lastly, the road program, this year's road program, the pre-construction meeting is set for later this week. And at that point, we'll be discussing schedule and when we'll be starting and where we'll be starting. That's all I had.
Are you following South Jersey Gas?
Yeah, South Jersey Gas is getting ready to submit their application for phase 2. I have seen the plans and I've been in discussion with them, which will basically in the same area they're working now. They're going to continue to progress, really providing gas service for just about everybody on that side of town. And we've been just periodically checking in on them and making sure that the restoration work and the proper safety procedures are in place.
Thank you. Anyone from the committee have a question of our engineer? Okay, our administrator. Raymond?
Okay, we had a temporary sale of property this week. On the 20th at 1 o'clock. Unfortunately, we had no bids. They were what items were on there were lot 1401, lot 2, which is 106 Fork Neck Road, block 324, lot 15, which is 67 River Road, and block 309, lot 17, which is 32 Woodside. At this point, I'd say we set on this until later on in the spring, and I've also, when I was at the league, talked to a company that does real estate auctions. They've done some for the county, and we'll get further information on them before the spring to see whether that's an avenue we prefer to go down. Okay. I'd like to get a motion to approve the advertising of the purchase of the International CV 515 22,000 GVW dump truck to replace truck 8 that we had talked about earlier when we talked about the bond. We're buying it through Sourcewell, which is the former NJPA cooperative public contract, or public buying cooperative, national. And we have a series of advertisements we have to make prior to the meeting on the 27th, and we would have public comment taken at the 27th before the committee sees fit to approve the purchase.
Could I ask for a motion from one of the committee folks?
So moved.
Second. Any questions from the committee?
I'm not sure if it's for Doug or if it's for Dan, but block 1401 lot 2. I know you said we didn't receive any bids on any of the lots, but do we know how much, like a percentage of that property? Because I know an adjacent property owner encroached on it. Do we roughly know how much?
Which one was that? That's the one next to the pit on Fourth Neck Road. They've encroached on the slope area that they've required. I don't believe they've encroached on the property itself, although it is a fairly straight slope up to it. So they'd have to bring in material to restore that slope or purchase the property and ask for approval to include that in there.
The reason why I'm asking the question is that may be a hindrance as to why nobody's offered to put a bid on it.
We had 2 interested parties a while ago. We've sent them both notices of it, and I did not hear back from one, and one, it was just time funds available. But I did not hear back from the other interested party.
Okay, roll call on the truck purchase.
My motion was made by Tim, seconded by Francis. Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Franzen.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Yates.
Yes.
Mayor Barton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else, Doug?
Pass those down.
It's a gazebo.
This is a gazebo, a replacement of the wooden structure. It's over 20 years old. We looked at a steel structure on a flat slab so it is handicap accessible. What I have there is a price for just the purchase of the gazebo. We will be doing concrete work with a local contractor, whoever is located, and Public Works would be assembling it.
So this $20,456 is the purchase price?
Just the price for the doing business. It's an all-steel structure. And like I said, it would be ground level, which would save some of the problems with the step-up that we have now on the existing structure, which has lasted very well over the 20 years, but cedar eventually was good.
And then Doug, that gazebo is not in very good shape. It's got a lot of termite damage, et cetera. Would Public Works take that down and dispose of it? Is that what your plan is?
Doug, what did you compare this to in terms of other material?
We looked at, we didn't really look at anything else but a flat structure. I did not get a price on a wooden flat structure. Laminated wood structure is the other choice that's out there. But what I need is something that's strong enough for the wind load here and be able to be anchored for footings. So it's about 2 foot bigger than what the existing one is.
What's the one load here? I've never heard that term before.
We have a fair amount of wind that blows through here on a regular basis.
Okay.
Wind starts at 6:30 and doesn't end at 10 o'clock at night.
How do you measure it?
There's actually a website you can go on and tell you the wind load for your zip code.
It's an open structure, so it's worse with the roof, if it's under the roof, so you have.
Yeah, I want to hear from the engineer, Frank.
Yeah.
So when you have an open structure, basically the wind treats, like it's different here where, we're in a closed building. The problem you have in an open structure is that wind load comes through and there's a lot of uplift. it'll actually force the structure up. So there is a significant more wind load on that open structure than there is on a closed structure like that. So bigger footings to support that. No, put down. I haven't calculated out anything for the structure, but in general.
I'm not a fan of this proposal because it's an all-steel structure. I think, yeah, the cedar structure out there is 20 years old, and yeah, it needs to be replaced. And cedar doesn't last forever, but there's other materials other than steel to look at. If we haven't looked at anything else, I think it's irresponsible not to look at something else. I mean, a steel building in Tabernacle at the downtown center of town, a steel gazebo doesn't sound very inviting to me. That's just me. I wasn't real excited about putting a steel roof on the Pepper House either, for that matter. Anyhow, I'm not sure anybody else feels, but I'm not gonna approve a $20,000 steel building when we haven't looked at other construction types.
I'd be able to get prices on a laminated wood structure if that's what you prefer, as an option.
I think it'd be nice to compare to something.
No problem.
Doug, I do see that this is a copper coated structure. This is fully copper coated.
Yes, yeah.
So Mr. Kramer will
Hang
research
on,
this a little further.
hang on that, I'll have more research for you, and next month I'll give you another choice.
Okay, thanks.
Mrs. Brown has a question.
Is it possible, when you get us the other quote too, to give us images of both?
Yes.
Because, you know, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking of, just as Ms. Ray said, just a piece of metal, you know, where sometimes they're made to look more pleasurable for the eye. So I understand what you're saying with this. So if you could just get
Not a
us
problem, we'll get.
images that we can
we'll get
actually.
Images of each example, so you have that.
Yeah, because it's, like I said, this, you know.
Not a problem.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Ray?
With respect to advancing the committee's intentions on Prickett's Mill Road, there seems to be a paucity of appraisers that would be qualified for that task. I talked to our assessor in town. He's not qualified, didn't really have any recommendations. So Sean and I are working on identifying a party and trying to move that along. But we have been having some difficulty finding people that are qualified to do that particular type of appraisal and get proposals. So as soon as we have that, we'll be diligent in pursuing it. We can advance that. Other than that, Doug talked to some of the issues that I had on my list, and that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Mark Lemire is our chair, and I recognize Mark. And Mark, you want to talk about the tree lighting?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was going to do that at the open comments, but yeah, Mark Lemire, 32 Washington Way. Yes, we have our annual tree lighting coming up.
Oh, sorry.
So jumping out the window.
I don't think either one of them are jumping out the window, but.
Gazebo, set them off, set them over the edge.
You guys already over there?
Aren't you hot? Don't just stand.
We're cool now. You got a cup of coffee.
All that gazebo noise on. Anyway, Mark Lemire, 32 Washington Way. Yes, we have our annual tree lighting coming up on the 7th of December at 7 o'clock right here in Town Hall. I don't know if everyone's attended before, but this will be our 5th year, and we're really getting some good attendance and keep improving the numbers of people that get made aware of it and come out. So it's becoming a really nice event. As a matter of fact, gazebo, I would like to talk to you, Doug. Obviously, that's becoming a centerpiece where the gazebo is rather sleepy little enclave there on the township property. That night, it really is the center of a lot of activities. We have Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus come. And, we finally have something, people are not taking their kids to the mall or over to the Dickens Festival anymore, and we're getting 100 kids lined up to see Santa. So it's been, I think, a really, really great thing. The Historical Society, Women's Society really took this off. PTA, lots of involvement. We have free refreshments for everyone. We have tons and tons of cookies. We're gonna have cider, we're gonna have coffee this year for everybody who's been pining after hot coffee on a cold night. So, and we're gonna have entertainment from all the schools as well as quite a number of churches this year as well. So it's really expanding nicely. 7 o'clock on December 7th, and we hope to see everybody there. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Mayor. Okay, committee reports. Mr. Gates.
Nothing to report, waiting for the executive session.
Okay, committee appraiser.
The same.
Committee woman.
Three of them.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
Well, it's been a month, so I feel a sense of responsibility to report a few things, actually. The League of Municipalities was roughly a week ago. I attended the mayor's box luncheon at the Sheraton and listened to the Attorney General speak and also the Lieutenant Governor. Had an opportunity to walk the floor with Mr. Lisson, also was there with Mr. Kramer and with Kevin Worrell. I have an update on FiOS. As you all know, this has been an issue that I've been trying to work on for several years now. We, as a community, we had applications that I personally put together and submitted to Verizon in May of 2018, which were approved in July of 2018. And based on the BFR rules, the provider, which in this case is Verizon, has 9 months to complete the project. And they seem to be dragging their feet pretty dramatically. I'm starting to lose my patience a little. Because what it basically means is that in the census tract, 7036, I think, or 7037, 7037, in our census tract, we had reached the required 35 applications. As a matter of fact, we had about 43 applications that were approved. And these residents spent $100 each and made a promise to Verizon to say, we will enroll in FiOS or the program or whatever it is. We'll essentially become customers of Verizon. So we've already paid money out of our pocket to the tune of $4,200. And Verizon continues to tell me that we're looking into the plan, what the plan's going to be. Then they sent me an email about 3 weeks ago that said that because of Pinelands it was taking a lot longer. Now, the problem is that FiOS goes on telephone poles. And the telephone poles are already there. So there's not a special approval that's required by Pinelands. Several of you that applied and are part of the qualified 42 received a letter from Joe and I indicating kind of where we were, but the big piece of that was Verizon also sent a letter to residents saying if you're interested in opting out of the program and getting your $100 back, we'll be happy to give it to you. Well, guess what? If residents begin to give $100 back, that disqualifies the entire census tract. And based on the rules, Verizon is required to provide high-speed internet access, not only to the 42 that qualify, but anybody else that has poor internet connection service, like those that have quote-unquote 4G in the DSL section over here on Indian Mills Road. As you can tell, I'm getting a little passionate about this, but I've kind of lost my patience because we have done everything we needed to do as residents in Tabernacle to qualify for the program, and Verizon's dragging their feet. The thing that I want to be very clear about is that if we begin to give money back, it means that Verizon can walk away from it, and I'm just going to urge the residents that have paid the $100, please do not send your $100 back, because that will disqualify the entire census tract. I met with Ted Baker, who is the solicitor for Cumberland County. He was involved in the initial complaint filed against BPU, or filed against Verizon at BPU, that essentially told them to get your act together and let's get some work done. I met with him on Tuesday of last week. He believes that we could potentially have a formal complaint filed against Verizon for dragging their feet. I'm going to give them, I wanted to kind of express to the community where we were, but I think it's probably a good idea to at least reach out to Rate Council and reach out to Verizon. Getting Tabernacle's issues on Cumberland County's docket was really important because they've been spearheading a lot of the complaints that have been filed against Verizon. So the moral of the story is this: please do not send back your $100, number one. And number two, if any of you want to make a phone call to the VPU and say, gee, I gave $100, and gee, I'm wondering where my Verizon service is, I don't think I would discourage you from doing that. I can't, as a public official, I can't say go do that, but I'd be happy to give you the dime to make the phone call. Anyhow, that's all I have. More to come with Verizon. I think it's going to get done. In fact, in talking to the solicitor, he was pretty adamant that it will get done. It's just a matter of Verizon having to get it complete. I think they're kind of hoping that some of us are going to back out because we're going to get impatient. But when I get pushed, I push back pretty hard, and I don't lose my resolve. So anyhow, I appreciate you listening to my rant a little bit, but I'm working hard to try to get this accomplished. It's one of the things I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm hoping. The other thing is that what it does is, and I think it's probably why Verizon's really taken back a little bit, is the fact that now we've gotten the census tract qualified, it means they have to build out in areas that have poor service. Not just no service like the 35 did, but areas on Indian Mills Road that have DSL coverage that have a very, very weak signal. Guess what? That gets built out also. So they've got I think they were kind of surprised that we were able to get the 35. So I think they're trying to do what they can to figure out how to make it work economically for them. But certainly more to come. And if you have any questions about it, grab me after the meeting, or send me an email, or give me a phone call.
So, Stephen, if I may, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that some of these people who have sent the money in for FIOS, they do not have the internet, they have children, so their children are at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And mine are one of them. Or two of them in this case. But
in today's times, everyone knows that schools will send their kids home and they have work to do and they need to research on the internet.
Everybody likes Google Classroom, and I think it's great if you have good internet access. It's not just us though. I mean, there's a lot of municipalities, there's a lot of areas in the state that have issues with connectivity. And I think the bottom line is that it ought to be regulated. And what that means is that you don't create rules to make it a problem, you create rules to provide the service for the necessary service for the residents of New Jersey. That's what it really comes down to. Because what the phone company wants to do is, they're not interested in reconnecting copper lines. As far as they're concerned, copper lines aren't going to exist. And they're not worried about it. They want you to get 5G, they want you to buy a cell phone. Everyone, all the providers want you to buy a cell phone, but the problem is that once you go to all cell service, you lose hard lines, which becomes an emergency management issue. And it's a problem, and I think that the ultimate answer is to have regulation for internet service, and because it's a necessity at this point. It's kind of like the railroad. The railroad was regulated. You had to have railroad to be able to move places and goods and services from one place to another back in the day. This is the same kind of thing. This is the railroad of information.
But no, you're 100% right, because when power goes out, you lose your internet, you lose your phone, you lose all, so you lose all contact. So, and if your cell phone happens to die, you're left out in the cold.
And what's really interesting is that Verizon is currently, and Kathy Berger's here somewhere, can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Verizon's actually putting FiOS out in areas of Medford, which already have Comcast. And also Woodland Township has done the same thing. When they built out Woodland Township, they didn't just do the ones that had qualified for under the program. They built out the entire census tract. Now what's interesting is that the census tract for Woodland Township also includes parts of Bass River Township and Washington Township, but they stopped at the township line in Woodland, just because it was where the end of the township line was. They didn't want to go further down and complete the build out at the bottom end of the census tract. So they've kind of rewritten the rules to fit them and to fit their business model, and not follow the BPU ruling from 2015. So I'll be happy to discuss this at any time afternoon. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Our Historical Society has the Santa box downstairs, so if you know anyone with children that want to send a letter to Santa Claus, please tell them to stop at Town Hall and drop their letters off, or come December 7th and drop them off at that time. As I go up and down New Road, I see the banner on the ball field at the school for Veterans Day with the 5 emblems of the 5 branches of government. And I bring that up today because I see we have a young airman in our presence. I want to thank you for your service and thank you for coming to our committee meeting today. And please be safe and enjoy your holidays. The only thing I wanted to report is Doug talked about the gazebo. And Dr. Stahl was our veterinarian for 25 years. And in those 25 years, he did the rabies vaccines, and he never invoiced this township once in 25 years. And he has since retired, and unfortunately, he is terminally ill. And LaShawn actually came up with the idea of dedicating a bench in his memory. And so part of the gazebo project was to incorporate the bench. So if you go out to where the gazebo is, you'll see we already built the handicap ramp, and there's already a concrete area with curbs, and his bench is there. And so we did the dedication prior to having the gazebo so that he would be here with us. And we did that a few weeks ago, and I'll tell you that we had probably 50, 60 people here, LaShawn, of his friends that came out. It was a nice sunny day, thank goodness. And the presentation was delayed because there were so many people that were around him and wanted to be part of him. And LaShawn had a nice ribbon across it with some flowers and mums, and we actually had Dr. Stahl cut the ribbon. And I'll just share something personally that he told me. So his family had a luncheon at the Shamong Diner that I went to, and I sat next to him. And he said to me, he said, Joe, when I'm gone, would you sit on my bench once in a while for me? So I ask all you, if you have time and you want to reflect a little bit, go sit on Dr. Stahl's bench and thank him for all that he does for animals. The other thing I learned about him is how much he loved animals. I know a lot of you guys and girls in the room are hunters. We live in the middle of the Pinelands. We got a lot of deer. And Dr. Stahl did have a shotgun, but he didn't use it to hunt. He used it to scare away deer during hunting season. He shot it during hunting season. And he shot it quite regularly to scare the deer away so the hunters couldn't get his deer. So we did give him a proclamation, and I'm proud to say that all 5 of us signed it. And Kim was at the dedication with us, and it was a wonderful day. So we thank Dr. Stahl for his service, and may God bless him and give him as many years with us as possible. That's all I had to report.
Mayor, got one other thing. We got an invitation today for the senior dinner, December the 9th. I think is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. December the 9th at the Firehouse. I just want to clarify, I don't qualify to go to the senior dinner, but I know that my colleagues on the committee do. So I want to make sure that you take the opportunity to go to the senior dinner. I'm sorry.
As a deputy mayor,
Yep.
Let's see what Tony said.
Stephen, you could actually go and serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might do that. I might do that.
Okay, public comment. Anyone have any comments they want to make? Please come forward, state your name, address. Okay, seeing none, we're closing the public comment portion. At this time, we're going to go into closed session and executive session, resolution CS 09-262018, whereas the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from meetings in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the governing body wishes to discuss 3 matters. Number 1, matters relating to contract negotiation with respect to PRS, matters relating to contract negotiation with respect to requests for proposals for professional services, and matters relating to the purchase, lease, or acquisition of real property or the investment of public funds, building and acquisition. And whereas minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving confidentiality above no longer requires that confidentiality, the minutes will be made public. No further resolved that the public is excluded from this meeting. So this meeting is temporarily adjourned. We will re-adjourn when we're finished. Yeah, and what I'll ask for is a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Gordon?
Yes, and after that executive session, we will reopen it to the public, and the committee may or may not take action. Thank you.
I'll have you on to the town.
Yes, I agree.
Maria. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Where are you hiding that?
Huh?
Where are you hiding that?
Nowhere. Oh, you mean when we're out there? At the front door.
Blocking the wind, you're in between the
I had no coat. I didn't know you get kicked out of the building.
Oh, you went home to get a coat?
No, it was in here. You didn't take it before you went outside? I didn't know we had to go outside. Well, you never know. That better never happen again, I can tell you that now.
Somebody come out?
Yeah.
You stood out the door.
The doc?
Yeah.
Around talking outside.
Hey, how's rehab going?
It's going.
How do you like her? She's the best, isn't she? You get a t-shirt?
Not yet. I must not have graduated.
I'll work on that. She should give you a t-shirt. I referred you. She ought to give you a t-shirt. She should give you a t-shirt. Yeah.
Oh my God, please scale slow.
Clap for you.
And last but not least, that's awesome.
Here, Don, sit up here. Want a chair? Here, sit down.
All right.
Right up here, that one.
Exits that one. Steve, it's Doug Denner? Yeah, I'm right here. Okay, Doug.
Come on up, Doug. Keep the car warm for me.
Uber to the rescue.
You should have just sat in the chair.
That's what I said.
That's not Uber, that's one of
I was thinking the same thing. Never should have got out of the chair.
You okay there, Doug? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, we're out of executive session. We're going to reopen the meeting and revisit,
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that's not on the agenda. And I don't know how you want to do this, but I'd like to make a motion, and I'll ask for a second from anybody that's willing to, for future executive sessions, that in lieu of having the residents go outside the building, that the executive committee, or in this case, the township committee, find a remote location, whether it be in Doug's office or somewhere else inside of this building, to be able to hold executive session. So we don't inconvenience the residents and have them sit outside the building. I'd like to make that as a policy change.
Can we do that legally?
does it need to be, is it just a policy change, or is it something we need a resolution to vote on this?
No, it doesn't, you don't have to have a, Steve wants to officiate it, so he can do that. You can ask for a resolution to that effect.
Something doesn't require us to pay Pete to write on a piece of paper, whatever that is.
Okay.
I just want to make a policy change, that's all. I just made a motion, and I'll have a second.
It'll be reflected in the minutes, so it'll be fine.
Okay. So we don't need a resolution, it would just be a policy change that in the future, we'll hold executive committee meetings downstairs.
Okay.
Isolated from the public who can stay up there. It's a good suggestion. Okay, everybody's in agreement? And that'll be part of the minutes, right, LaShawn?
We get a second on that motion now.
We need a second on the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those
This way-
opposed?
This way residents don't freeze to death.
Okay, under old business, we were discussing 2018-7. Does anybody from the committee have any further action for this, or?
I'd like to make a motion that we table 2018-7 as our public safety director continues to negotiate with TabernacleOG.
Okay, second?
Second.
Was that Rick or Joe? Mr. Yates?
Yates?
Roll call?
Thank you. Ms. Brown is out. She's out. Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes.
For the record, Mrs. Brown, although she was not here for the vote, she had concurred with our decision to take this action.
Okay. Before I make a motion to adjourn, our next meeting is December 27th, which is towards the end of the holiday season. So on behalf of the Township Committee and our staff here, we wish everyone in Tabernacle an enjoyable and healthy holiday season. Be safe, and hopefully we'll see you on December 7th at the tree lighting. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.